Well now, first there was the NHS computer system, then the Child Support Agency, then the tax credit system, then the Passport Office. Now Channel 4 News can reveal yet another government IT project has hit major problems. Over £4 billion, yes, £4 billion is being spent on a huge new defence computer system designed to help Britain's troops operate more effectively in Iraq, Afghanistan and around the world. But a joint investigation by Channel 4 News and Computer Weekly magazine has uncovered internal emails from civil servants describing parts of the system as an unmitigated disaster and not fit for purpose. Julian Rush has this exclusive report.
It is designed to bring the military into the digital age. A single, secure defence computer system connecting battlefield to barracks. The aim is greater efficiency for the armed forces, efficient logistics for things like ordering boots for soldiers in the front line, fast and efficient 21st century data links for communications between units and their headquarters. For the last 3 months, Channel 4 News has been investigating disturbing claims that this has become the latest government IT fiasco.
It's behind schedule. There are claims that much of it doesn't work, and there are questions too over whether the taxpayer is getting value for money.
The Defence Information Infrastructure is the largest single government IT contract ever awarded, originally worth over £4 billion over 10 years. In March 2005, the MOD gave the contract to a consortium of computer firms called Atlas. It's led by a company familiar from past government computer scandals, EDS, the firm at the centre of the Child Support Agency and tax credit disasters. So what's been going wrong? Civil servants working with DII have been so alarmed they've spoken out to their union. They reported a number of serious problems that they claimed jeopardised their ability to support troops in the front line.
Our members are very unhappy about failing systems because, of course, they want to do the job. They're passionate about supporting the MOD and supporting our troops in the front line. And the failures are across the range. They can include things like the system being too slow, it actually not working, that things that have been promised haven't materialised, actually meaning that it's very difficult to do your job.
Abbey Wood is the MOD centre for purchasing all the armed forces supplies, from toilet rolls to tanks. It's the first major defence site to get DII.
And staff here are not happy. We've seen internal emails that complain that DII has meant they've gone for several weeks unable to email their suppliers, of their fears that if equipment was to fail on operations, they'd be unable to respond.
That was from the team supporting the Army's new guided multiple launch rocket system, shortly after it had first been fired in anger in July in Afghanistan. DII, they said, was not for purpose. And another email simply, DII is nothing short of an unmitigated disaster. In response, senior managers at Abbey Wood admitted the problems had meant the rollout had almost stopped on a number of occasions. Even the most senior officer in charge of military supplies has conceded DII has experienced severe difficulties. Just last month, in an open letter to his project team leaders, General Sir Kevin O'Donoghue wrote, "As with all major IT rollouts, we have experienced major problems." And he went on, "These initial problems are frustrating."
There are challenges around changing the way things are done. And we dropped the ball. We should have left another dozen people around for a little longer to help people bed in those new systems. And the latest feedback we have from Abbey Wood is that that situation is stabilised and our client is content with the way that we're handling that.
The first increment of the computer contract started in March last year, but Channel 4 News has learned there have been delays.
The first phase of the DII was meant to roll out 70,000 computer terminals onto the new system, and all by the end of March this year. But we've seen internal figures that show that at the end of July, 3 months past that deadline, just 6,000 terminals had been connected, less than a tenth of what had been planned.
The MOD has admitted to us the plans for implementing DII have changed no less than 22 times. And Channel 4 News has seen evidence suggesting the project is now some 18 months behind schedule. Atlas admits the delay, but they say the problems are behind them.
The schedule for the programme has changed, and it's changed because it's been reprioritised, and it's changed because we've suffered some delay. We've learnt things like we needed a much more flexible lead time to implement systems on sites to cope with the amount of change that was hitting the Ministry of Defence. Things like fighting two wars.
There is a final twist. Ministers have always referred to the cost of the DII contract as around £4 billion. But our investigation has discovered that Ministry of Defence figures now refer to an overall cost of over £5 billion. When we put this to the MOD, they denied any budget increase. The £5 billion figure, they said, reflected an accounting change. The extra billion coming from additional notional costs for depreciation and cost of capital. The contract with Atlas, they insisted, remains on budget.
I don't recognise that as the overall, as a cost increase. The Ministry of Defence is in a position where the Defence Information Infrastructure Programme as a whole, the cost increase is actually around 2–2.5%.
They don't appear to have learnt from previous government failings in IT, like the Child Support Agency, for example. None of those lessons appear to have been learnt. And unfortunately, the people who suffer are the taxpayer, MOD people who want to do their job and can't, and potentially our frontline military personnel.
MOD officials and the Atlas Consortium both insist the lessons have been learned and lives have not been put at risk. But no minister volunteered to Parliament or the public the problems we have exposed. And given the scale and cost and importance to the military of DII, the MOD can now expect calls for greater scrutiny from MPs.
Julian Rush there, and if you think there's more we should investigate with regard to that, do get in touch.